We were going to do this live feed originally at 7 o'clock tonight. And I'm a forgetful husband sometimes. A lot of times, maybe. Sometimes. I like to think that I'm overall thoughtful.
But just not very...
I'm not great at remembering.
No.
And there are times when Melissa tells me something and maybe I didn't hear it the first time. But it doesn't mean I don't care. But she told me and I forgot or didn't hear. One of the others.
He has a million things in his head constantly. So, I mean, if he's like, I forgot that today is your book club at 7 o'clock and it's going to mess up my internet connection.
Yeah, that's what I forgot. I forgot that today was her book club. And so I just put the thing saying, hey, we're going to do it at 7, but instead we're doing it now. So I see some of you are joining us now. Hello to all of you who are joining us from all over the place. Lots of people from the UK on right now. I guess maybe because it's a better time of day for you guys to do these midday live feeds so we can get more people from around the world.
It's keeping everybody on their toes.
What's the book you've been reading for book club?
Oh, I don't know. It's like called in...
You don't know what your book's called?
It's called like in the next 5 years or something. You know when at a job interview they ask you where do you see yourself in 5 years? In 5 years. That is what it's called. I would give it... I don't want to spoil it just in case my book club's on. They already know what my opinion is.
Did you really like it?
At the 50% off mark, percent done mark, I was thinking, this is not worth my time. And then it started getting good. So if you're into a book that takes you half the time to get into, some of you might have really loved it if you read it. It's not terrible. It did start getting good at the halfway mark.
So, I named this live feed. I almost lost a staring contest with the dog.
Oh, what? I didn't even know. A weird name. It's Alexander.
Nearly lost a staring contest with my dog. That's the funny thing. If you guys have pets, especially dogs, on occasion they get into this visual power struggle. Because you know what it is. They're trying to assert dominance. My dog is the size of like 3 teacups stacked together. And that dog looked at me. This is what, it doesn't bother me that I know dogs are, that's what they do.
This is what's happening at my house, you guys.
This is here's the thing. You'll be like carrying out your business, doing something, and you look over and see the dog is trying to assert dominance. You're like, are you staring me down, dog? And you're like, I can't look away. So great. Now I got to stop doing what I was doing. I got to stop drinking my tea here, and I got to just spend the next minute staring at this dog until it looks away. He's a tiny little, it's like a stuffed animal. I'm like, how does a stuffed animal even think this is going to work?
In reality, the dog's probably thinking, I got to go outside. Please let me outside. Or feed me. I want your food. Not that he's asserting dominance.
Well, this is how I feel. Because he'll be all casual, like, and he'll do this. And he'll just stare at me and lock eyes. And I'm like, wait, is this what I think it is? And because I'm not really sure what it is, because I'm not sure what the dog is up to, I'm like, Chewy, what are you doing? And then I just look until he looks away. But I was thinking, what kind of, where do I stand in the dog's eyes that he's like, who's first for me to take down on the food chain here? That guy. Oh, I'm not doing something right in the house. Anyway, so my little, so occasionally I'll just be doing something and just the dog's staring me down. Little fluff ball. Anyway, so far, and it's a close call, folks. So far, I think I'm still the alpha dog, but it's like this is what I'm worried is going to happen. I'm going to be doing something, the dog's going to stare at me, I'll lock in for the staring contest, and then one of the kids, Melissa will call me, she'll be like, honey, and I'll be like, yes, and then the dog will be like, I win! And I'm like, no, you didn't just win that. And we'll have to start all over again. Anyway.
I can imagine this actually happening. Like, this probably actually happened.
Yeah. I don't know.
I am congested. I thought I was pulling it off, Nancy. I have a coffee, hoping that it makes it. This is the longest cold I've had in a long time. Like, I think I'm on day 19. 19 days.
Yeah, she's had a cold or a flu or stuffed sinuses for
it's supposed to be 5 to 7 days on average for a cold. I thought that was too long.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We've switched because my back was out through most of October. Now my back is feeling better, and today Melissa's stuffed up and her back is out. But that's
they're falling apart, you guys.
Kind of my fault that her back is out.
Well, though. You didn't tell me. So you know what? Here's the trick, and all of you probably know. When you're lifting something up, do not ever turn. You are past 30. Do not turn and lift anything ever. I don't care how strong you are. I don't care if you bend your knees. Don't turn and pick something up. That was the key for me. It's not that heavy. It was our bench in the downstairs front room, right? Like the porch. But how much do you think that thing weighs? Like,
not much.
No.
It's pretty light. But if you twist
like
carrying something not that
potatoes.
heavy. We've been changing up the furniture here at the house a bit because it's kind of a crazy thought. One, we're starting to fill our current house up with the furniture that is going to go into our eventual new house. So we're trying to figure all that out. But also, we're going to have to stage this place. We're going to have to make, staging a house is kind of funny because you want to sell your house to make it look like nobody lives there, even though somebody does live there. Like, the perfect people live there and that they don't leave stuff out and there isn't laundry being folded somewhere. So you have to make your house look as perfect as you can. Our house generally isn't that bad, although the fireplace behind you looks like shit. I mean, literally shit. There's a wood on top of the fireplace. You all thought I said a bad word, but I didn't. The upstairs, I think, looks pretty decent. The downstairs is good. And we're kind of like just tailoring areas of the house to come together. And
there's, the big thing for me is that, like, today when I moved that bench, there were some scuffs in the floor. And I thought, I should take care of that. And there's scuffs on the wall. Somehow all this was fine for me to live in, and I didn't even notice it. Like some overspray from when we did the walls. Like, the things that you don't notice until you're trying to sell your house. But I'm already seeing it as somebody else's house. Like, I'm no longer even seeing this as our house anymore. I'm seeing it as somebody else's house. And I'm trying to take care of it for them and make sure that it's perfect for them. I don't even know who them is, but I'm thinking of them.
New people.
Yep, the new people. I want them to love it as much as we did, and I want it to be perfect for them when they come in. Yeah,
we switched our desk over too. We had a 1920s roll top desk that my computer was on before. Now the computer is sitting on what's after Georgian? It is the Regency period. It's a Regency period double pedestal desk with cloth. Oh, hang on, I'll take you for a tour.
Well, is I'm not doing that. Ready?
This is where we're sitting. Look, she has a blanket.
Hey!
She's all cuddled up. So I had 2 pictures here before upstairs of the county fair poster, and we had another one that was Hunt the Man. I got rid of them, so we just have the one now. This is a Regency period desk. People say, oh, you don't have antiques in your house. We do have some, yes. And it's got these lovely sort of carved feet, double pedestal with the drawer.
Oh, there's nothing in there.
Not yet, but there will be. And this is where I can do my work. And lately, actually, since I've got us here, I was just checking in on the auction to kind of see how things were going. And I guess I'll segue into that. So I guess needless to say, hang on, I'll flip the background again. Needless to say, we've been busy getting the house ready, getting stuff set up, and checking in on the house. Now, Stephen and I went by and looked at the house today. I popped my head in the door and have a look, and things are going well. But so the house, we're getting that ready. Our other house is being built. We're gonna have to transition that pretty soon here, which means we're gonna have to do Christmas in this place.
Yeah, good.
And then take it all down again.
I get one more Christmas.
I'm not going to talk about the auction yet because I'm not done talking about normal
I get
stuff.
one more Christmas in this house, and I'm happy about that because we have a lot of memories.
We do. Memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was joking with Stephen. I'm going to edit a video later and put it out there. But I was joking with Stephen. They had a shoplifters will be prosecuted sign. And I said, we should have a sign at our store that said shoplifters will be forced to sing show tunes.
Wow. What if you just heard people singing in the background?
Oklahoma, my home.
Oh my goodness.
But we went and saw Oklahoma in person before the Great Plague, and the guy had a Kermit the Frog voice. The dashboard's made of genuine leather, Oklahoma. And I'm like, what's with his voice? And I mean, he was singing well. He just had a Kermit the Frog type voice. It's not easy being green. Anyway, it was a fun rendition. But I think maybe that's what we'll do is we'll have, if somebody shoplifts, I'll be like, oh no. We need to hear SS Pinafore. Toot sweet. And we'll keep like some hats and some outfits and stuff. That'll make them think twice. That'd be worse than prison probably. Or even worse would be having to sing show tunes before going to prison. I don't know what's worse. Anyway.
Julia had a good suggestion. She said, and this is for anybody that is thinking about selling their place as well, remove all your personal items, photographs, and knickknacks. I think it's very important to remember that if you're going to sell something like your own house, it's no longer yours. You have to make it theirs. And they don't want to see all your stuff because it's not mine anymore.
Oh, we had an idea for when we sell our house. We have an idea. You guys can tell us if you think it's good or not. Every year, we have a cherry tree in the front yard. For the first 12 years of living here, Melissa was convinced it was poisonous.
Oh, it was terrible.
She's like, you can't eat that. I'm like, I'm really sure they said it was edible. She's like, there's no way
it like
edible.
dried your mouth out instantly.
Oh, because it was a little tart.
You do not want
but
to
it was
eat it fresh off the tree.
magnifique. It was fine. Anyway, she tried one bad cherry and she's like, no, I'm not eating those.
No, it wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
It's just, no, I mean, it tasted bad.
But, okay, a couple things we learned since then. One is our cherry tree in the front yard is not poisonous.
No.
I found the receipt or whatever. Anyway, it was not poisonous. The other thing is if you wait really late in the season until they get really dark red, when it's almost about time for fall or winter to hit, they're perfect. So they're just a little bit sour, but they're not that sour. So for the last, I don't know, 6 years or so, we've been making cherry jam, cherry jelly. Choke cherry jelly is what we've been making from that tree.
Choke cherries, when you eat them fresh off the tree, are not a sweet, delicious snack. Those will dry your tongue out.
But as a jelly?
Yeah, as a jelly, so good.
So good.
Yeah, this whole time we were just letting them go, feed the birds, which I'm sure they appreciated. But I mean, all that wasted fruit for all those years. We've been here for 16 years in this house. Right?
Is that it?
Well, we bought November 2003.
No, because Stephen is 16. We were in here before Stephen was
here. More than 16 years.
Yeah.
But we were 2 years more, so 18 years, I guess.
That's a long time.
18 years.
Yeah. So anyway, this is where this story is going. We decided that this year we would do our traditional jelly batch that we do, but we'd make some little sample sizes so when people come to view the house when it's for sale, we'll say, this jam made from the tree on site, please take one with you. Because then they can see that they can A, have jam, and B, they can make it themselves. We made sure, I'm a big believer in having trees and fruits and veggies and stuff around. Like if you're gonna have vegetation on your land, it may as well do something. Yeah, either it's gonna make shade, not throw shade. I don't want a tree that's gonna talk smack at me all day. Hey, I'm taller than you. I don't know. What would a tree say to you? That's a tree throwing shade. Oh, I'm taller than you. Stop it, you maple tree. Anyway, I think that they should do something like cast a shadow. Or give you berries or apples and stuff. So we have lots of things that we've grown around the house that people can harvest. So we're going to leave little samples out for people that they can take with them.
I think it's good for whoever's coming in. We have raspberries in the back and a beautiful apple tree, and some of the stuff in my garden comes back every year, like the onions and it's basically onions. Onions come back every year. Some like random thing that decided to grow all of a sudden.
You have what, Egyptian onions?
No, they're called I've messed this up already. They're called walking onions because they grow up and then they grow bulbs on the top and then that tips them over and it plants them again. And so it looks like they're walking, but they're just tipping over and replanting themselves. They're pretty amazing.
They're from a country though.
No, they're called like Jerusalem walking onions.
Oh. Okay, well anyway, we have onions and the strawberries come back generally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, strawberries.
Yeah.
For some reason I had one thing of kale come back. I mean, you guys, we get very cold here. It's like minus 40 something last year. And for like 2 weeks, I should have had nothing coming back other than those onions and strawberries. But somehow we had like a tomato plant.
Yeah. I made a face when you said kale because I know kale is good for you, but...
Yeah, you just haven't, you have to make sure to break it up. Otherwise you're eating one.
I'd rather eat the leaves off of our maple tree.
That could be done. I can make that for you and we'll have
tastes the same.
No.
Kale is pure roughage. I'm sure it probably...
But you have to take the stem out. You can't just eat that, and you have to break it up. Like if you don't massage it, then you're not even...
Massage it. It probably scrapes my colon out all the way from one trap door to the other.
Like a bottle brush on it?
Like it's a bottle brush for your colon is what kale is. It just...
Oh my gosh.
Probably leaves little scrape marks and blood out the way. It's the worst. I'm sure it's good for you, but I'm not a fan of kale. Somebody said, I think Hannah said, oh, look, I just caught a live stream. How lucky you to jump on during this part of the conversation.
Just kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. I'm more of an iceberg lettuce boy or romaine.
Oh, yeah,
romaine
romaine's
heart.
okay.
Okay, not just romaine. Romaine hearts.
The greener something is, the more nutrients it has. So
Yeah.
you basically like the water version of lettuce.
I'd like to think that it's the Wonder Bread version of lettuce.
Yeah, well there.
Kale is like your whole wheat.
Wonder Bread is just fine. I have no clue about the nutritional value of it, but here's what concerns me. Some Wonder Bread fell in the back of our pantry, and I'm cleaning everything out, and in behind the boxes and stuff, like of the big stuff that you don't use all the time, I find a bag full of, I think it was hot dog buns, but they were Wonder Brand. Now this is like back
Wonder
there.
Bread.
Well, I mean Wonder Bread,
Wonder
but
Bread.
they were buns, hot dog buns. I pulled that out and I thought, ooh, completely fine. How? It's been over a month.
But you didn't feed it to us, did you? No, you didn't feed it to us. Oh.
I didn't
Just
feed
because you
it.
can't see the mold.
No.
You open it up and you're like, oh, she put blue cheese on my hot dog. How unusual.
Disturbed me more. It disturbed me actually so much that it didn't go bad. I thought, we should not be putting this in our bodies. And then I've probably since bought Wonder Bread.
Well, I wonder if it's the same stuff that McDonald's makes their chicken McNuggets from. You ever seen that where they take like a McDonald's hamburger or a chicken McNugget and they leave it for like 10 years and it still looks the same? I don't think anybody ever eats them.
I hope not.
But they don't. You would think, like in your brain, when something sits for that long, you think that it's. Did we lose? Are we still live?
I don't
here?
know if we're still live.
Okay.
I think it's still.
We're still okay.
I think we're still good.
All right.
Did you want me to keep talking and you take my phone and double check?
Oh.
We've got Bill at the store, and it looks like he might have a question. And since we have a business, you guys are getting real life.
Yeah, you guys are getting real life.
Wonder what it is, Brad. That's true.
Okay, I'm phoning my store right now because Bill was trying to reach me, so you guys are gonna be pretty well. Hopefully, it's a good call.
Twinkies last forever. It'll be.
Hey, Bill, it's Alex. Sorry, I was just on a live feed right now, which you're currently part of as well.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, Bill. How can I help?
Oh, it says we're still live.
Yeah, no problem.
This is.
It's like the Lego. It's the Lego
Just
dealership, right?
You are still live.
Yeah. It would be $75. Canadian. Yeah.
Somebody asked, "Are we going to plant some
Thank you.
fruit trees on our
Okay,
homeland?" You guys, of all the things, we're not only going to be planting. Well, we're going to have fruit trees, and we got to be careful though too, because that attracts rodents, which attracts coyotes. And we have coyote food in the form of a little tiny dog. So I don't want to attract anything big to our yard, even though it is fenced. But also we have chain link up around our entire fence. And I was thinking about trying to grow grapes on that chain link.
Oh, I have news for you.
Is there grapes on my chain link?
No, I went to the house today and the neighbors started cutting down the big trees on their side.
They're also building a house on their side. But they're not cutting them all down. They can. It's terrible when you assume that something's going to be a certain way and then...
Well, because the trees have been there for probably let's say 50 years. And you're like, nice mature trees. I'm sad,
but at the same time, who am I to tell them what they can and cannot do?
Yeah.
We still have what are the trees that we have on our side?
We have
cedars or whatever those are?
We have cedars, yeah.
Something that looks like cedar.
The one positive, and I was saying this to Stephen, the one nice thing is that we'll get more morning sun through the yard because their trees that are at the front are coming down, so we'll have a little bit more.
We can also plant stuff on our own side.
Yeah.
XYZ said, I sent an email to Alex talking about a camera. I haven't heard back yet. That's because it went into the pile of thousands of emails.
Oh, wait a minute. Was XYZ, what is this? What's her name? I'm going to be all up in your business here.
Hey. XYZ.
XYZ comp. Oh, wait.
Did you see it?
I saw that somebody sent a message and I haven't opened it yet, but somebody was asking about the, I have like a news style camera at the store and I think that's the one they're asking about. It's still there. I am just so behind. Honestly, if you want to give us a call at the store, I can walk you through. I think it's a Graflex news camera that's sitting there, and it is for sale. It's just hanging out there. So give me a call at the store if you can, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'll be in 11 to 5. And I apologize, I haven't gone through all my emails yet. Honestly, this past week has been not great because this is year end for us, which means we had a giant income tax bill. And then we have property tax, and we have insurance renewing. It's a very, very, it's been a crazy, crazy last couple of weeks doing our year end. So, and plus getting the auction ready. So I just really need to get caught up on all the
Oh,
emails.
yeah, he said speed graphic, yes.
It's a speed graphic, Graflex. Yeah. If you give us a call, I can't remember what it's priced at. It's like $400 Canadian or something like that with the
He
flash
said, I'll
tube.
get over it, LOL.
Yeah, sorry, no, I did see your message. I just hadn't had a chance to respond back. That's because when we do the accounting and the paperwork at the end, it is me who does. I think a lot of people forget that we don't have a big team of people.
No.
I have Bill that works there a couple days a week, and he, like he just called me a minute ago. He sells stuff and helps run stuff through. But for the rest of the time, the ordering inventory, the doing the stock, a lot of the cleaning,
emails,
the organizing, the emails, the pricing, the calls, all of that is me. And so I'm doing all of that on a regular basis. Plus, I edit videos when I can and put them out.
And sometimes we're lucky enough to work with people that, brands as well, like HelloFresh.
Yeah.
That actually was a pretty sweet deal because not only do we have food show up at our door, then I get to cook and make it look like I know what I'm doing. So I appreciate that they brought us on board for that.
But what I'm saying, I guess, is that I'm getting slowly caught back up on stuff. So
Yeah.
if you do give me a call, I can definitely answer. Be happy to help
Well,
out.
that gets crazy. Even when you're trying to catch up on messages on the phone, I'll be like, what are you doing? And he's on there for a while, even just trying to catch up on messages over the weekend.
Yeah. And our auction is live right now. And I guess that's one thing I was going to talk about is kind of showing, let's see. All right. You guys are coming on a virtual field trip. So we have our auction sale, which is the December 4th is when this sale ends. It's the day before my birthday. It worked out pretty well. And I put just kind of a farmer's breakfast of stuff in. Matthew Fox says, don't forget about my shed. LOL. Okay, Matthew.
There, but there's a pump in there.
So I kind of put through a little bit of everything where you have like Captain and Tennille's captain hat. And then vintage G.I. Joe. I hope they showed it with the box open because that thing is full. Like, why would that be the main photo when this is the photo that shows that there's a bunch of stuff in it? Either way, there's a bunch of cool accessories in there.
Change that, I think.
I probably could. There's statues. This auction really has a lot of variety. I can't remember. No, I don't. I think you used to have a T10 like this at one point.
Yeah, is that my T10?
No.
Oh, yeah, that is mine.
No, I think I found it somewhere else.
Nope, that's mine. I gave you the ones that I wasn't using off of the top of the cabinet. I think that's mine.
I think I'm in the doghouse.
No, I gave it to go send it to the store.
Autograph Muhammad Ali. You can see the autograph there. The nice thing about this is that the guy's dad was a boxing promoter and he himself was a boxer, and they knew Muhammad Ali and got them to sign it personally. So I got it right from the person who had it signed back in the day. And it's a pretty famous fight, that one is. Madison Square Garden, Joe Frazier versus Muhammad Ali, 1971. There's Heather says, no, Matthew, that's my shed. Hang on, I'm going to flip it back around again.
And she's stuck on her tongue.
There's a lot of stuff at the auction, and I think that we did a good job of getting a bunch of variety in. So this sale is on from now until December 4th, kauctions.ca.
So you can bid now.
There's my plug.
Right?
Yeah, they can bid now. And I have to start gearing up for another auction sale too, which is December 18th.
Oh.
But this one will be easier to do because it's just going to be records, just LPs. Right. And 45s. We have a room at the store that is full of nothing but records. Good records. Classic rock and old jazz and stuff. But there's only so many people come and buy records, and I keep finding them in people's basements. So now that room is like overflowing. So I was in there and I'm like, man, I got to thin this out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start thinning stuff out.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's heavy boxes though.
Oh, you're thinking about my back?
Yeah.
Aw, you're thinking about my back.
Well, especially.
It is heavy boxes, yes. Yeah. But I do need to do, basically, if I can inventory, I think they're only expecting maybe 700 lots for that sale. So if I can do 100 things a day for 7 days, then I'll have the auction done already. So that means I have to get that stuff to them ASAP because they'll need it like next week, which means pretty much all day Monday, I'll have to be at the store inventorying records. That's my Monday, pretty much. And we do have record players too, yeah. But every time I go to somebody's house, because I had a dad that collected records like crazy. And so he and I, for many years, would go to garage sales, and he had price guides and he knew his stuff, and I kind of knew a little bit as well. So we dig through and kind of know what to look for when it comes to records. So if I go to somebody's house, I know to flip past all the polka music and pull out the Led Zeppelins and the old jazz and the blues and stuff like that. So I have a room at the store that's really full of really decent music, but there's more than I could possibly sell. It probably, I've got a few years worth of music in there if I sold like records every day. So we just decided we're going to do an auction. We'll throw them all up at auction. That sale, I believe they said, is for December 18th. So I guess Monday I'll be over at the store working the whole day. Yep.
Well, you usually are out anyways, like on a Monday when it's Alexander's days off, his days off are going on pics, taking care of emails, doing all of that. There is no real day off, right?
Chris Thompson says, what's wrong with polka music? There's nothing wrong with it. It just doesn't sell.
Chris, do we have a box for you?
Oompa music. You like that sound of accordions?
You know what? There's nothing wrong with it. It's that everybody has it though. So when you go through, everybody gives you the polka music. So then you have.
I came for the accordion, but I stayed for the little leather pants. She's just ignoring me now. This is what happens.
Lulu said, Alex, do you know Karen, the one whom inherited her mom's hoarder house? She said you inspired her. Just found her channel. Interesting story. They must mean Karen, right?
No, it's just a different lady because Karen didn't inherit her mom's hoarder house. Yeah, I actually was at I went to go visit a hoarder property today.
But do you know? She said.
No, I don't
that
know
you
her.
Inspired her. Oh.
I don't know her.
I thought maybe it was.
We might have checked. Oh, what does Lori say? Hard to believe it's been almost a year since you got Madame Rack's house. I know it's really crazy.
Yeah.
That was shocking. I remember getting the news from Vince that Betty Joan had passed away, and I was just shocked because I just ran into her not that long ago, and she seemed fine. She seemed totally fine.
Time goes by faster than I realized. Even in the last couple of years, especially, it feels so fast.
Somebody said, I can't believe that records are still becoming a thing or coming back. You know, it's so funny that there is a sense of ownership that you don't get when you just stream music all day long. You spend all that money on streaming music, but you don't end up owning anything. And there's a really nice tactile feeling. And you guys will hopefully agree with me that when you have the album cover and you can see the band and when you can flip it over and read the lyrics or whatever you're doing, you feel more attached, I think, to that music. And watching the record turn around on a turntable, you feel like the music is happening in front of you. It's like a live concert in your living room. So I don't know. I've always thought that there was sort of a romance to records, and the sound quality, arguably, a lot of people would say is better. If you have a really good vinyl record with a needle, you get excellent sound quality from it. It's just got a great tone and great quality. So that's never really going to go away. I mean, you can certainly listen online to music or listen online to whatever.
Do I spy with my little eye, Nikki?
Nicole.
I think.
That's books for me. Oh, she collects books.
You know, but it's funny that you say that about books because I thought, you know what? I don't need to have all these books. I could just, when I'm ready to read them, I could just put them on the e-reader. But I really like holding a book and having the book and not just having it on a device. So I get that.
Somebody said, when are you going to retire? Well, you know, it's funny. Having the antique store was kind of a retirement goal that I thought, well, I could be an old person and just tootle around with antiques, but I didn't realize how much actual moving is involved with owning an antique store. An antique store isn't really, and I've had many people tell me this that own antique stores, you oftentimes see older people with antique stores, that's true. But it probably should be a young person's game because there's a lot of lifting, a lot of moving, a lot of physicality. You've seen my videos. I'm always moving, lifting, carrying boxes and stuff. So my retirement goal would probably to be a traveling tourist, I think, to go and visit the world, take in the sights and do stuff like that. Now, at some point, you know, those retirement goals can change a little bit. Tootling around our little property, tinkering on old cars, still buying and collecting and selling and stuff. But
I'm excited to film all the city girl and the acreage life, trying to figure things out. Hopefully it's entertaining and not all messed up. But if it is, I hopefully will inspire people to be able to do it on their own. And the one thing that I've learned is if you do something wrong, the internet will tell you. And sometimes that's great because then you learn so much, or you're given resources that you didn't even realize were out there. So
yeah, the internet is unforgiving.
Especially if you make a dumb mistake. Like, I mean, we've all been there. We think we know something when we don't. Then 1,000 people will let you know.
Oh, I make mistakes all the time. I
funny.
I think I had a typo at the end of one of my last episodes where I didn't even spell Curiosity Inc. correctly because I was rushing.
Yeah, because we have to try to get it done and supper's ready and
yeah, I was rushing.
I think you were actually trying to get it done so you could come down to supper.
I was called to dinner. Yes, yeah. I'm going to place that blame on your shoulders.
I think actually I was like, where are you? Supper's done. I don't want it getting cold. He was probably like, I'm just about done. I'm on the last frame.
Yeah. But I should have gone back and not rushed it. It's my fault for trying to fit too much stuff in my day is what I do. But
it's because it smells so good.
Yes, of course. But we are gearing up for another auction. I will probably do Vlogmas, which is like a vlog a day or a video a day for Christmas. And that's coming up. That's
hard to pull off because you have to try to find something in every day. I mean, you
can just chat though with people too.
You have pretty interesting days, so I think you're going to be fine. I would watch your channel.
Yeah, I was didn't know how I felt this morning because I got a call. I'm going to tell you about how my morning went. Yesterday, I had a phone call and somebody said a friend of mine is clearing out a hoarder house. The lady's in her 90s and she has to move and it's a big mess in there and it's awful, blah, blah, blah. And so I talked to this lady and she said, yeah, mom was a hoarder and it's really messy and really bad. And I said, that doesn't scare me. And so I'm driving over this morning and I'm thinking, okay, if it's good enough stuff, maybe I'll make an offer on the whole thing and we'll do another episode or another series or something. And I was kind of like, man, it's so much work and my back is just healing. And I was kind of like going, do I really want to do it? But I would do it. And so when I got there, the house wasn't that bad. In fact, it was just china cabinets full of knickknacks. Like the mom who's in her 90s, just like, you know how sometimes you go to somebody's house and there's a grandparent and they've got a china cabinet full of little tchotchkes, like teacups and ornaments and porcelain figurines and stuff. That's all it was. And I said, this is nothing. She's got a real problem. I'm like, no, she doesn't have a real problem. This is like pretty normal. Like you should see the places I go. And I'm like, the fact I could open the door, it wasn't messy. It was just a normal house with china cabinets full of stuff. People's idea of hoarding is very different, I think. Just because somebody collected and filled a few china cabinets up does not a hoarder make. Not being able to sleep in your bed as a result of having too much china around your house, then that becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So I was I don't know. I guess I was disappointed that it wasn't as good of a score as I thought it would be.
I was kind of looking, on one hand, like you said, you do kind of dread it because it is a lot of work. But I was kind of excited. I thought, oh, this is perfect timing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially when it's at the end of like tax season. You want to be able to get a nice big series going again, which Hoarder House would.
It would keep us busy for a while. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I'm super overdue.
Yeah.
With for all this. I think Nancy Montgomery said Alex has come face to face with dead pigeons and rodents and stuff like that, and that's true. I have, but I'm nothing really scares me off, and part of it I would like to think is because of working in. There's two things that contribute to that. One was working in film, and one was having kids, and I'll tell you why. The working in film part, my job was to go and find locations for movie sets. Prior to having a retail store and doing all this, for almost 10 years I worked on movie sets, and my job as a location manager or later as a producer was to find the places where you film movies. Sometimes that was abandoned buildings, terrible conditions. You're looking for places that look like they've been blown up, and some of them had been, so I'd been in every type of environment you could imagine to try and find the right environment for filming in that looked visually interesting for the camera. And so nothing scared me. After a while of going into places that are just gross, you're like, yep. The antique collector in me wants to kick the old version of me in the butt a little bit, because there was many times I went to an abandoned building, and I remember going to a farmhouse and we filmed at it for like a month. And it was a farmhouse, and the inside of the granary was all antique signs, like Coca-Cola, a gas station, all the way up. And I remember thinking, that's cool. And then I closed the door and I left. I should have been like, how much you want for those signs or whatever, but that wasn't my priority. In fact, there's a funny story about that. Our special effects guy, we were filming this drama, and I think Diane Keaton was in that series that we were filming, or that movie that we did. And anyway, we were doing this movie and it was just kind of a drama, but the special effects makeup guy was working on a different movie afterwards, and he had brought some of his gear with him to use on a different set. And so, I don't know why he did it. He had to move something around in his van, and so he had a cooler in his van, and he placed this cooler into the barn of this place that we'd rented to film at. And just because he didn't have room in his vehicle or whatever, he was shuffling stuff around. So he takes his cooler and it has some of his prop stuff in it, and he leaves it in the barn. And I guess with all the hubbub and the commotion and stuff, he got in his vehicle and we drove away on to the next location. Well, I get kind of an excited call from the homeowners, because when you're the location manager, you deal with the property owners and the people who are renting to you. They said, well, we got quite a surprise this morning when we went into the barn. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, did we leave a mess? They're like, no, you didn't leave a mess, but you left a little thing that shocked us a bit when you opened the lid of it. I'm like, what? Apparently, the special effects guy, in this cooler, these stories would seem fake if it wasn't real. He was working on a movie next that was a horror movie. And so this sweet little couple that owned the farm went, oh, the film people left their cooler behind. And it was a styrofoam cooler. And when they opened the lid, what they found was a dismembered body. Oh. And they thought about calling the police. It was a fake dismembered body, I should say. It wasn't a real one, obviously. It's like, oh, special effects guys, they are always a murdering people. No, he was doing a horror movie, and he had human remain body parts in this cooler that he had made out of rubber and done makeup on them and stuff to make them look authentic. And he was taking them to the next set, and he left them in these people's barn. So I phoned him up. His name was Doug. I said, Doug, of all the things you could leave behind at somebody's house, a cooler full of body parts, that's pretty bad. Luckily, those people were super nice about it. They didn't call the cops.
Their first,
they're like, no, I can only imagine. They probably thought,
cooler?
Well, I think it probably had the film production name on it or something. So they probably had that first shriek of terror and then realized this is movie nonsense.
You think they poked it with a stick just in, is that legit?
No, I don't think he was keeping the props cool. I think that he just was keeping them in there so they'd be safe, and I think the foam protected them or whatever. So I had to put out that fire. There's been so many times that I worked on movie sets and had to my job was to put fires out.
Yeah.
When I was looking for a regular job, when we moved back, I left that industry mainly because it meant that I couldn't be around Melissa. I was gone all the time. I was working 14 to 20 hour days.
14 hours would have been a short day.
14 hours was a short day. They were typically about 18 to 19 hours a day.
I think that also helps where Alexander is always on the go, 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 and he can't, I don't know if he can stop. He very much is all the time, but it was like that in film. It was go, go, go. Even if he was sleeping, they would call him during this. There was no
sleep
time.
Yeah.
It was only their time, and they somehow owned you.
Yeah. So you're working really long days, and you're almost falling asleep at the wheel trying to get back home. You're getting 2 hours of sleep, and you're back on it. It was an unhealthy business for me to be in.
Yeah.
But being a location manager was a little bit better because I wasn't on site as much as when you're doing the stuff on site. But it was very challenging to be in a family and to be in a relationship doing that job. So I walked away. I left that business. That's when we opened up our toy store. But in that business, like she said, I would get phone calls in the middle of the night about all kinds of crazy stuff.
And you could not answer no. I think we said before that there was a Sunday where they called you and said, we need an air conditioner now. It's a Sunday. Nothing's open. You can't say no.
It was at midnight or something.
No, it was 2 a.m.
And I had to convince the guy. I found out who the manager of the local department store was, and I contacted them at home, and they actually met me there and sold me the thing.
Yeah,
I came around it.
No cannot be an answer, so it has to be done.
But sometimes it was an air conditioner, which is doable. Other times, this is what I'd get. This is the phone call I'd get. Ring, ring. Hello. Hey. And they'd be at this end. This is what I imagine. They'd be like, yeah, Alex, we're trying to film here, and there's these airplanes going over top all the time. It's really annoying. And I'd be like, yeah, well, there's an airport nearby. And they'd be like, yeah, can you do something about that? And you know what? I would. I would phone air traffic control. I'm not kidding you. I had a contact at the air traffic control at the airport. I would give them the location that we were filming, and they would redirect flights to land from a different approach and runway to reduce the amount of air traffic we'd have. I was a problem solver. We had to shut down highways at a moment's notice. You'd phone up the police and hire police to do detours. It was an intense job. You don't think about it, but when you see these movie sets and they're filming in, let's say, downtown New York or something, they actually have to block off certain sections of a downtown. And you can't have people walking in and out of those businesses, which means you have to have people inside the doors of those businesses. You have to pay for the loss of business to those businesses. You have to try and reroute traffic that maybe has to go to work or something. So all these logistics go into this. And sometimes it involves shutting down roads, highways, or even redirecting airplanes. And so I had all this on my resume, right? Like, so what do you do? Well, I've worked for the film office. I can, I've done lease agreements, short term.
Managed giant groups of people.
Managed hundreds of people under very stressful conditions. I've had the ability to redirect airplanes if need be or whatever. And then they're like, so do you think you're qualified to fold t-shirts at the Gap part-time? And I was like, I think so. And that's pretty much what, there was no work in Edmonton when I came back.
But they constantly were like, let's get this straight. You were doing what? And you want to work in a clothing store?
It's not that I wanted to.
Yeah, but I think they didn't take you seriously, like, what? Nah, he's not staying with us for long. So that kind of convinced us. We realized that we were going to have to open our own store. Like I think most people were like, no. So why would he work? But there was no film here.
There was not much going on here. And the reason for that is that they had different tax incentives. Like if you film, we were living in Manitoba at that time. And if you were to film in Manitoba, they would give you like a 25 or 30% labor credit. So anyway, 30% of your budget of your labor could come back from the government. So they were offsetting the cost. So for people that were filming, it made a lot of sense to film there. Anyway, if there aren't incentives to film, and I think there are incentives to film here now, but that industry is so changed. It's so different.
Yeah.
That by accident, I got into social media really to try and promote our business. And turned into an actual YouTube channel, an entertainment channel.
Yeah.
And now I have friends that work in film that are saying, man, there's just not much going on in that business. There's, the networks aren't what they used to be. Now it's Netflix and, Prime and other sorts of online streaming services where people get their viewership from, or YouTube. So things have really, really shifted. And I don't even know if there'd be an industry for me to go back to if ever I did. Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. Elaine says, my brother worked on films as an on-site paramedic. Yes, we would hire on-site paramedics because we often do stupid things. And it's
you have big groups of people, anything can happen. So
it was mandatory when you were filming and you're blowing stuff up that you have somebody standing by. And depending upon what you're doing, if you're doing major stunts, you actually have to have an ambulance on standby too.
Did you put, sorry, Tony, I saw your question before and I forgot. I looked for the Loyalist book at the auction, but didn't see it. Is it there?
What was the Loyalist book? It should be there. Hang on. I'm going to try and find it for you right now.
That Loyalist book. Oh, Tony, I've seen you on here before.
Okay, I'm looking right now.
I remember the horse.
Tried Favorites Cookbook.
Is that what it is? No.
Common Sense Medical Advisor, Davis Applied Anatomy, Chum's Annual. I don't know where it is. Well, there's a lot of stamp books. I forgot how many stamps I put through. Went a bunch of Winston Churchill books. Okay, I'm looking right now. Hang on. Let's do this.
It was red. It showed for a brief moment, and that's all I saw.
I might have it at the store, if it's not in here.
How's your house coming?
Oh, yeah. Some of these books were pretty cool. Like, these were reference books that I had. Books on toys and stuff like that. Like, also uncut sheets of dollar bills with certificate of authenticities and stuff. There was a lot of neat stuff in this sale. Somewhere, somebody out there is going to have an Austin A40 and need the service manual for it. Oh, yeah, the Disney Snow White book. That was pretty cool. That's a really old copy of it too, 1930s. Anyway.
The dog is cuddling with Steven.
Yeah. Dog is downstairs. So, this is what's going on right now. Where's my wife? There she is.
Well, good thing you pointed at me.
There we go.
It's like some person hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
Am I bringing out a Christmas vlog this year? I have, yes. Yes, I am. I have a vlog that I did a brand deal. I'm working with a brand and I just have to send it for approval today. It's actually on this jewelry I'm wearing today.
That's right. Melissa has, it's funny. She gets so many sponsorship opportunities for her channel.
But I only work with two. Like I work with HelloFresh on your channel,
Yeah.
and I work with Ana Luisa on my channel because it's two brands I believe in. So.
And I think that's important.
We're never going to recommend something we don't actually use ourselves or believe in. Ever. And if for some reason we found out later on something we liked did not follow our values, or we didn't think it was going to be giving value to you guys, we would stop using it. That is a promise I can for sure make. And I don't think a lot of people think that, but yeah.
So what do you guys think is the most expensive thing at the auction right now?
I know that Elaine knows because she's been on top of it. That's how I know.
Okay. We have all this great stuff up at the auction. I'm going to search it and show you guys here in a
Elaine
second.
runs our...
we have a fan club, which is kind of crazy thing on Facebook, but Elaine is the chairperson.
She's the one that made it.
Yeah, that's...
There's a reason you don't know I have a channel, Cass. It's because I'm terrible at putting videos up. It's because I take forever to put stuff up.
Well, what's your channel?
I'm going to put a whole bunch of hearts up. And then after this, you guys can go check out my... I don't know
look for Melissa in the comments.
It's Melissa Archibald. I'm very creative.
Okay, I am just about there. I just about ready.
I know Kathy's on because I see everybody saying hello.
Okay. So we've got all this stuff at the auction right now from... original sheets of Beethoven music right through to nice watches and stuff. Kathy Cash said Mozart and other composers' music and lyrics. You'd think that would be the highest thing, Kathy. And Kathy, nice to see you again. That is not the highest pricing at the auction sale. The highest thing right now is actually the car that I showed as the background image of the ad. It's a big red Bakelite fire chief car. $375.
Is that what's on top? No.
That overtook the lead. It was at $60 yesterday.
Wow.
And then the Game Boy Advance system. We had these Game Boys. Our kids were using these Game Boy systems in our own house.
Yep, we were just cleaning out.
And we're like, "Are you kids done playing with the Game Boys?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're done." Whose voice was that? That'd be any of our kids. Yeah, we're done.
Sounds like Abigail.
And so the Game Boy stuff is doing crazy good. But then, who would think that like a Nintendo Game Boy going for more money than an autographed Muhammad Ali poster? Like, is this world topsy-turvy? That's why sometimes I don't know what stuff will go for when you put it up at auction. 1810 Beethoven. Should be in a museum, probably. Was owned by composer Joseph Kemp. A piece of history. What's it at? $80. What do people want more than a piece of history? A Game Boy with a couple games. That's nuts to me in a sense, but it goes to show that the stuff's only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, and whoever the target market is might not be on this particular site.
There is Game Boy games with it, isn't there? Or is it a different lot?
No, there's games and a system, and then there's games separate. So this is crazy, guys. I'm gonna show you this. Certain games can be worth a lot of money. So these are Pokemon games for the Nintendo Game Boy system. Even though it was misspelled, Pokemon. It's Pokemon. This red game, I believe, if it was mint in package, is like $1,000. Somebody said that they saw it on eBay for $1,000. People spend money on the craziest stuff.
Well, I mean, if that's true, then somebody could win that and then flip it on eBay.
Well, I think they should do their research.
Yeah, for sure.
Honestly,
that's the hottest tip of the day. Do not ever just assume. Do your research and always check what things sell for, not what people are selling it for, because they can sell it for, say that it's $1 million. That doesn't mean it's going to sell for that. Always check what things have actually sold for.
And things are generational right now.
Yeah.
Stuff like Pokemon is super popular right now, and SpongeBob stuff, and there's just certain things that it's from my kids' generation. The stuff that my kids would have had is becoming retro now, and
that's crazy.
The stuff that our parents would have had is not as popular. Like dinky toys, like dinky brand toys, and like cowboy memorabilia. I felt so. Remember when I had all those cowboy comic books? The guy probably spent like $100,000 on that stuff back in the 80s when it was at its peak. When Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and Gene Autry and all that stuff was really, really hot. Spent big money building these wonderful big collections of it. But the interest in it waned. It went way downhill. The genre, the Western genre, just it plateaued way at the bottom, and it hasn't come back up yet. So a lot of that early stuff, cap guns and things that were really, really popular. For the most part, a lot of that stuff really has dropped in value. So I have to be careful because the stuff I started collecting when I was 9 years old isn't as collectible now. So really, really shifts. We just really, really have to keep our eyes open for what to carry to the shop and what not to carry. But honestly, some stuff I just think is cool, and some stuff is just like the Beethoven music. To me, that's an important thing. That's cool. It's neat. It baffles me that it's so cheap right now at the auction sale, considering that book is full of sheet music, original, wood block stamped 1800 sheet music.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was played by a famous composer, Joseph
People
Kemp.
might not realize what it is. Like,
no, probably not. But that's the risk you take with an auction house.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get at an auction house to take those books on consignment, but nobody was getting back to me. And that's the thing. A lot of these big auction houses in the UK or overseas, they're very slow to reply. Or they don't reply at all. So I kind of just gave up and I put them through the sale. So it'll go for what it goes for, At the end of the day, this was all stuff that was just sitting around the store. And I've said it before, I'd rather have some of the funds back in the bank to do something else with than have a bunch of inventory sitting around the shop. And our store is still full.
I think we kind of look at things a little bit differently. Like for us, we obviously keep our money in a bank as well, but we invest our money into things like, say, the cars or antiques or stuff like that. So when we saw something, it would be like us going to the bank and taking out money for a bill. So when people get angry, like, I can't believe you sold that, it would be like somebody getting mad that I went out to the bank to,
yeah,
pay
that's
my
just
bills.
where our investments are.
I didn't buy it to keep it forever and look at it. I bought it completely to pay the bill. I like to eat.
Somebody said it's about every 20 years or so that fads come around.
Yeah.
Which is kind of true, because in the 90s, bell bottoms came back in, if you recall.
Yeah.
Because they were the fad from the 70s. And now the 90s are a fad, which is so funny because in the 80s, the 50s was retro, but then in the 2000s, the 50s was retro again because it was retro in the 80s. It's the weirdest thing. Anyway, somebody asked a question. I'm going to try to answer it for you. The question was, Alex, what was the first thing you bought and sold?
Oh, I saw that too.
What do you think the first thing I bought and sold was?
I'm going to say the first thing you bought and sold was, hold on. I think I know this, don't I?
I don't know.
I'm going to say a little car, but I don't think that's going to be it.
That's
like
possible.
Like a Dick Tracy something?
No, it wasn't Dick Tracy. That was my private selection. Those Dick Tracy toys, that was my own personal.
But I know you don't just keep you'll find another one and be like, this one's better than this one. I'm going to put this one towards something else in my collection.
I have a handful of toy cars from when I was a kid that are still mine from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I do have my Dick Tracy toys from the 90s, I guess. There was the Warren Beatty Dick Tracy. The super chat. Lilith says, I bet Madame Rack would have loved the sheet music. She would have thought it was cool for sure.
Yeah.
She would have thought it was really cool.
I saw that. Did you see that post?
I got to answer my question first. We can't get off topic.
Sorry.
So what do you guys say? Somebody says it was a bicycle, a record.
No,
I have to actually...
Was it a stamp? No, it wasn't a stamp.
No, I have to really think back here because... The first thing...
You used to do the shows and stuff with your brother, right?
Actually, the first thing I probably bought and sold were
cards.
Non-sports trading cards that I used to go and set up at card shows in the early 90s. But that wasn't the first thing. That was one of the first, business ventures I had, was setting up at sports card tables and selling stuff, rent a table and sell stuff. And I was pretty young, 1990. I would have been 11 years old, 11 or 12, or turning 12.
When you look back, that seems so young, and then we see Abigail is 12. So
so that would be if you imagine Abigail was going with Stephen. Actually, it would have been older, I think, because Well, how much older is Stephen than Abigail?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah, so my brother's 6 years older than me. So it'd be the two of us being well, we're gonna go rent a table and sell some stuff. So that's what I used to do. But no, one of the first things I bought and sold was actually a Redline Hot Wheel car.
I said car.
Yeah. I remember.
I'm married to him, so it would be bad if I didn't get that question right.
Yeah. one of the first things I remember, I rode my bicycle, and my trading started probably even earlier than 9, because I remember I had Hot Wheel toys that were new, and my neighbor that lived across, we lived in a condominium complex. We lived in Mill Woods in a condominium complex, and one of the little boys that lived across from us, when he moved into their townhouse, the people before him left a plastic tub full of 1950s Matchbox cars. And this is what people always say, like, what got you into collecting, whatever. And even when I was like, 7, 8, 9 years old, however old I was young. I was in grade 3 going into grade 4. So how old are you when you're in grade 4?
7. Oh, 8.
8. So I was 8 years old, because I remember I was in grade 4. And these people left behind this tub of Matchbox toys, and I wanted them really bad. So I was trading him one of my Hot Wheels, my new ones, straight across for one of those old Matchbox. And my dad said to me, "Son, this is a very bad deal for you. You're trading him a brand new toy for some used old toy. This doesn't make any sense." And I guess from a parent's perspective, not thinking of collectability in mind, it probably seemed like a bad investment. But for me, I just thought they were cool because they were old and because they were neat. And there weren't really a lot of people collecting them at that time. In the early 90s, 1960s toys were just an old toy. But for me, it was cool. And I remember trading him my new Hot Wheels for those. And another kid in my class, his dad had old Dinky toys with the rubber tires, and I thought those were the coolest. And he let me borrow one for a weekend, and I put it on my nightstand, and I used to look at it and hold it and think, this thing is so cool. So yeah, probably started off with toy cars, and maybe that's why there's a soft spot. But I didn't really start selling. I went to a yard sale once, and this lady was selling Redline Hot Wheels, and some of them were missing the wheels. Now, stupid me, I realized that those wheels come off, and you can actually put different wheels back on them. And they were 25 cents each. I remember that. And I bought a whole box full of them for 25 cents each, and I sold them for $1 each.
Wow,
I was like 9 years old or something like that, and I was like, look at me. But do you guys remember, I shared the story once before, do you guys remember what my biggest score was? I'll end with this. Do you guys remember what my biggest childhood find was? The most money I made when I was like about 11 years old, and what it was from? I'll see.
I know.
Let's see. I'm just reading some of the comments. People are talking about what the toys they had. Coins, says Roly Poly Coley.
Heather said car.
Heather said car.
Oh, no. Myth T.
The record for a car. No, the record for a car was when I was about 15. That was Elvis's one night. It was a coin collection. Yes, it was. So those of you who guessed coin collection, again, went to a garage sale with my dad. I would make my dad sound like he was just not on board with this whole thing, but he was practical at that time, and money was also tight. So for us to spend money on stuff that seemed uncertain didn't seem like a good deal. But yeah. I went to the yard sale, and I had $20 of my own money. And the lady was selling, somebody had died in the family, and they had the grandparents' coin collection out in a cardboard box. They had 2 big, I'm not talking small, I'm talking like 4 cubic foot cardboard boxes. And to a little kid, that box was like, you could build a fort out of it. And they were full up to the top with old coin sets. I mean, like 1900s and 1920s coin sets, like minted sets. And they had this sort of felted material that was kind of falling off. And anyway, they were all like silver and all this stuff. So she said coins for sale. So I asked how much. She said face value. So a 1910 coin set, which had 50 cents worth of coins in it, was 50 cents. So, and it came with the case and everything, right? So I'm like, to my dad, I'm like, Dad, we gotta buy all this stuff. And he's like, son, I know you're excited and you can spend your money on that, but we just can't afford to be blowing our money on things like this right now. And I was like, but Dad, it's just the same price. We're not even gonna lose any money. And so I picked out, I think, $25 worth of stuff. And I even got a deal. The lady's like, well, you can have the other $5 worth of stuff for free. And I was like, thanks. So I took my $25 worth of face value coins and I hauled them over I phoned around to coin shops. And I was like Abigail's age.
Yeah.
And I phoned and I was like, I bought a whole bunch of old coins at a garage sale. Would you be interested in buying them? And so one said, this is Heritage Mall, it doesn't even exist anymore. The guy said, sure, if you want to bring him by. So I went there, I showed him the coins, and he had a careful look. And he said, I'll give you $1,500. I think it was $1,500 is what I got for them off of my $20 investment. And I was like, whoa. And so I came home. I walked over there because we lived across the street from the mall. So I walked back home with that much money in my hand. And I went and bought myself a scooter. I bought myself a Honda 50 Cub is what I did. And my dad was like, well, you're pretty lucky there. And I was just, the whole time I was thinking, but we left a whole other box of them behind. But, you know, I was happy with what I got. For me, that kind of looking for stuff in strange places and garage sales or basements, attics, and that has always been with me. And it probably started around that time when that kid had the old toys, and for whatever reason, I wanted them, and I couldn't explain why. So I kind of have always trusted my gut, and generally it kind of always works out. But guys, thanks for joining us on the live feed today. Oh, somebody said, here's a bunch of kale to put in your smoothies.
No,
put kale in your smoothies.
You won't even know it's there, especially if it's frozen. It just churns it up and you'd never even know.
Well, if I wouldn't know it's there, then why would I put it in the first place?
Because it's good for you.
No. Kale is just... Kale can live... It's like eating a fistful of parsley. It's like...
Parsley's good. I wouldn't want a fistful of it, but I like parsley.
No, if I said eat a giant handful of parsley...
What's that salad that I like that's like all parsley?
You like kale salad.
Yeah, I like kale. But the parsley salad, it's like a delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
And on that note, guys, on the colon clearing kale episode that this has turned out to be, wish you guys all a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful weekend. I'm going to edit a video now and post it probably in the next hour or so of just a little adventure I went on today. Show you a couple things that I picked up, and you guys have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you guys all very soon. Bye for now, guys.
Bye, everyone.